a school that is not a private school, probably decently funded. Shout out to you, man, Tillman Fertitta, but also making their way back to the P5. The University of Houston, like I said, back to the P5. They're in the Big 12 this season. And while they are basically, a lot of people are voting for them to be the last team in the Big 12, they won't be the last in looks, as they are unveiling a look this year. And look, I understand, I'm in Dallas-Fort Worth right now. People probably won't care, but people love a good uniform. And their uniforms, some of their uniforms this year, are inspired by the Houston Oilers. You get a feel for that right there, KG? Can you see it?
Okay.
Can you give me just a basic description of what's happening there?
We got the powder blue jersey there. You got the white helmet with the looks like the blue and red stripe going down the middle.
That's right.
The Houston Oiler inspired Houston Cougar logo on the side of the helmet. I actually kind of dig it.
It's a good look.
I kind of dig it.
But that made me wonder, being in Texas, being in DFW in particular.
Yeah.
How do people feel about that jersey? Because I feel like it's widely beloved, the Love You Blue, Houston Oilers, but also
there's not much about Houston that I go up for, but those powder blue jerseys that the Houston Oilers used to rock.
Like I'm very
Classic.
intrigued, because look, man, usually you could just say things are classic regardless, but I also know Houston Dallas doesn't always mix.
I kind of like that though. Good for Houston. And that program.
They're going to look good when they're getting these losses.
Yeah. I mean, you might as well look good when you're getting your ass whooped, I guess. In our college football corner here, I got a question because we got a couple of big games this weekend.
Yes, sir.
Namely, LSU, Florida State, 2 top 10 teams with college football playoff aspirations. But, of course, all eyes of the college football world will be on USC throughout the course of this season. We saw USC be able to get a win in their opener last week. But I saw this question on ESPN, and it made me think. I was like, this is a hell of a question. Which is more likely? Caleb Williams winning a second straight Heisman Trophy, or Georgia three-peating this college football season as national champions? Which one is more likely?
I'm going to the three-peat.
Think Georgia got the goods to do it for a third year in a row?
Georgia is stacked. It's something that I don't know how much, and people know this, I think. I'm not saying anything particularly novel. The torch has been handed when it comes to program at the height of college football, particularly when we're talking about recruiting and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the instances that you've seen in the past where it's that guy, 5-star, where will he go? Oh, it's probably Alabama. That now is Georgia.
And they just took it from Alabama, didn't they? Just took it.
Sure did.
They just took it from them.
And so, I mean, look, I understand there's some very good football programs out there this year. But if I was going to go one team versus the field, I mean,
yeah, Georgia looks pretty good.
Georgia's a very easy place to go there. And now the SEC is going to provide some challenges this year because you have the likes of LSU, as well as Alabama. And I mean, you can also talk about A&M, who, I understand they looked awful last year. I do not think that they will look awful again this year. But knowing Georgia, if they are able to get through that with the incredible talent that they have, back at it again. But the Caleb Williams, he will be really good, but I also know that Drake May is in here looking really good. And I personally have quite a fondness for Michael Penix Jr.
The 25th year senior in Washington.
That's right. I think that thing's going to look really good, and he's going to have a really good look at winning the Heisman this year. And winning back-to-back Heismans isn't the easiest thing to do.
No, it is not. It's going to be fun to watch him try, though, this upcoming season. Of course, USC dump trucked San Jose State 56-28 in week 0.
But they gave 28 points to San Jose State.
Woo!
That is an Alex Grinch defense, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Expect USC to give up points.
They're going to give up a ton. They're going to score a bunch, but they're going to give up a ton. But as I mentioned, the highlight is LSU, Florida State in the biggest matchup of the weekend. Ohio State kicks off their season against Indiana. But, of course, the game that's going to be on the minds of the TCU Horned Frogs will be taking place at 11 a.m. on Fox when Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes and their million players from the transfer portal walk in to M&G Carter Stadium to play the number 17 ranked TCU Horned Frogs at 11 o'clock Saturday morning. I'm just here for the scene.
For the vistas?
Yeah, I really don't even care what happens in the game. Like, you obviously want to see TCU acquit themselves, and they should win this football game. But just the idea of that coach with that program, knowing all the history that he has already in the DFW area, that being his first game as a major college football head coach, Deion Sanders at TCU, playing against TCU, that's going to be one hell of a scene.
What are people actually expecting from Colorado this year?
They're not going to be great. Not in year one.
I don't think they're going to be good.
If they win 5 or 6 games, that's a major accomplishment.
If they win 5 or 6 games, they are doing like what I honestly would probably deem the impossible. Y'all realize that Colorado is like a perpetual 2-win type program.
I mean, look, their first 5 games of the season, check this out. At TCU, home versus Nebraska, home versus Colorado State. Their next 2 are against Oregon and USC. They play 3 top 17 teams in their first 5 games of the season. Schedule is not going to be easy for them. They also play Oregon State, who's ranked this year, and they finish up their season at Utah on November 25th. So schedule is not easy for Deion and the Colorado Buffaloes.
Colorado's over-unders 3.5.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they win 5 or 6, if they win 5 or 6 games this year, that is a major, major accomplishment.
And mind you,
for them in year one,
right? Because I understand people are like, well, they were so bad. Did Deion raise the profile? Because I mean, they have an incredible abundance of transfers in this year, and of course, that also means they have a lot of transfers out. They opened at 3.5 wins last year as well. So I mean, as a program, when it comes to like betting odds, which I understand is not the end all be all, but can be in some ways illustrative to the process of what's happening here. Exact same start. You know what I mean? So like, look, I know there's a lot of people that are rooting for Deion to win, and I get that, and I respect that. I just want to temper your expectations because he is not going to walk on water in this instance right now.
Yeah, they're not going to be great this year. No, not at all. Not at all. But they're going to have a lot of eyeballs watching them. I can't wait to see the rating for that game when that game is over with, because I think it's going to do a large number for Fox when it comes to Deion.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's kind of crazy, though, that Fox has basically promoted this as Deion versus TCU.
You seen that?
That is wild.
They don't look, and they got Travis Hunter, they got Shedeur Sanders, like they got a couple of names that in the college football world.
Don't really care about that.
They don't really care. It's Deion coming home to take on TCU.
To be fair, right? Like
damn.
the biggest personalities in college football are the coaches.
The coaches, yeah.
But not like this. It ain't usually been like this.
No, it has not.